Y'all, recently, one of my private students, Johanna, shout out to you, man, and I were talking about the Czech Pirc defense, a very interesting, rich, flexible option for black against the move of e4. Okay, now we have the starting position here. With white playing e4, we're starting out with a Pirc. So we play a Pirc, we play knight f6. So far, everything looks normal. The main line here is the move of g6. That's what most players go with here. In fact, let's pull it up. Let's see the stats in terms of online chess. Online, 59% of players go with g6, 13 go with c6 with the Czech Pirc. Okay, so this is the main line. This is the Czech Pirc. Okay, so it's a rare option. A lot of opponents aren't going to know exactly what to do against this. There's a bunch of different things that you could see here. I do have an over 6-hour course on the Czech Pirc if you guys are interested in that. And in that course, I talk about different moves that you could see. f4, where I recommend queen a5, knight f3, where I look into bishop g4, and then a pleasant preferred French defense from that point. I also look at other options like bishop e3 and bishop g5. Now, against both of these, Johannes and I were talking about this. He was asking me about this move of bishop to e3, and I actually recommended to him, it's covered in the course as well, this move of queen to b6. Which is very backwards. Now, shout out to Grandmaster Zbigniew. I actually got this from his games. He loves this move of queen b6 against both bishop e3 and bishop g5. Okay, now let's rewind this. Let's just say we see bishop g5. We can play this. The whole point of this is going, you know what? White has moved their bishop. They're probably looking to castle queenside. Let's attack this pawn. Let's put pressure on d4. If white plays rook d1, then okay, or rook b1 that is, they can't castle. They can't castle. That's it, right? Which alters the game in a big way. If queen c1 or queen b1, then okay, they're defending the pawn, but the queen's in the way of white castling if they ever want to, or getting this rook involved. And yeah, I mean, if white takes on f6, which is the most popular move online, here we could take on b2. Both of these are attacked. The bishop wants to run. We'll gladly take on c3. Right, now if the knight runs, don't check here. Checks are not always good. You get attacked with that blocker, and now a4 is protected. You save your queen, but then they're able to save their bishop. You're losing. You're down a piece for a pawn. Instead, play queen a3. Now if c3, right, again, if the bishop runs away, then a4 falls. Now if c3, then okay, we take. There's no tempo there, so we can take this guy, and b5 is actually something that we could look into to trap this knight on a4. Right, so that's what we were looking into. We were looking at this idea of queen b6 against these moves, specifically bishop e3. So he was, and going into a tournament match. We were talking about this, and I said, hey, maybe think about this move of queen to b6. Here in the tournament game, that's what he goes with. And this game here by Johannes, guys, this is one of the, I'm not joking, one of the prettiest Czech Pirc games I've ever seen. I was very impressed by it. He played very well. For those of you that play the Czech Pirc, I hope that you enjoy this one. Okay, now with this move of queen b6, it's very, again, it's backwards because we don't, the human brain doesn't usually think it's a good idea to put the queen right in the line of fire with the bishop. And honestly, usually it's not. That said, white can't take advantage of this. Let's say we see d5. Well, you left b2. That's the whole reason we played this. We take. If bishop d4, eyeing our queen, we get out of there. If you attack us, we get out. And, okay, white has some development, but we have so much pressure on d5, a2. That knight is pinned. If white takes on c6, we're not taking on e4. Okay, we're taking on c6. Knight takes is good. I kind of like getting this b pawn into the game, right? Taking towards the center. Now c5 is an option, e5 is an option. That also gives us some flexibility in terms of the a6 square. And it also covers d5 and b5 very, very well, right? Like if you take with the knight, white could just play rook b5 if they want to. Now this is covered. A very solid, flexible position. And yeah, we're in a good spot. And if e5, guys, don't take this pawn. Don't take it, because then you have unleashed the bishop against your queen. Now if you take, bishop d4 can be played, and again, earlier when you didn't do this, bishop d4 wasn't an option because there was a pawn there, right? Again, with this move e5, okay? if you see this move, you don't want to take, right? You want to go knight g4 instead. Okay, you want to go with that move. But if you take here, yeah, bishop d4, and then knight d5. Yikes, not fun. So instead, guys, play knight g4. Yeah, you're in a good spot now. You're attacking the bishop. You're pressuring e5. You're pressuring b2. White here, they were going into a 150 attack type aggressive game, and they don't know what's going on. Right now, I will say with queen b6, some high-level players will play a3. Don't take the pawn on b2. If you take this pawn, you're cooked. Game over. Time to resign. The whole point of a3 is that b4 is taken. We rely on that square. Well, in fact, we rely on two squares. We rely on a3 and b4 to get our queen out of there. This takes away both. We're done. So instead of queen takes b2, knight g4. Pester that bishop. Bishop g5, pester the bishop. Bishop back, pester the bishop. Bishop g7, and yeah, double attacking d4, attacking b2, and a fun game of chess ahead. And at this point, look, if knight g2, now this is actually playable, because if knight a4, oh, we can get out. All right, queen b6. Let's cover the game. Okay, that's some theory for you guys. But here, Johannes, his opponent went with queen d2. And the engine here likes queen takes b2. When talking about this game, Johannes said, hey, I don't like this position. I'm not comfortable with it. And I get that. Right? I understand that this is not the most comfortable. That said, it is sound for black. Knight g4 is an idea to keep in mind, pestering the bishop. If you get attacked, a5 is the place to be. But instead he plays knight g4, which is a very solid move. And I like this approach. Going, yeah, let's attack b2. Let's see how white responds, and then let's pester this bishop. If bishop g5, if that was played, h6, right? That's a solid option there. And in the game we have knight a4. Now this move here, right? Don't feel like you're wasting time if you go to c7, because guys, you didn't go back to the same square. Now if you went one and then back, yeah, not the best, right? But you went here and then you went to c7. Now, of course, it depends how they're attacking you, if they're centralizing a piece. But guys, this knight, what is this knight doing? It's not doing anything now. It's just, I don't know. It's just hanging out, right? It's kind of like when you drive by a KFC or something. There's nothing going on, okay? There's nothing going on. It's like when you go to a Subway. Ain't nobody in there, okay? Ain't nobody in there. And if the knight goes back, they did go in a circle, but you didn't. So you actually, it's almost like if, for example, let's say you go to b6, they attack you, you go to c7, they go right back. It's kind of like the same thing as if you went here and then you had another move. So you gain a tempo in that sense. On top of that, b5 here is an idea that we see Johannes use in the very near future. Bishop f4 is played, white here trying to save their bishop, e5 pestering it. And typically, guys, in the Czech Pirc, white here taking, that is not helpful for them because our bishop gets so much more activity and range. So white smartly didn't take that pawn. We now have bishop to e7. White plays f3. Okay, knight goes back. Right, knight goes back. Not a waste of time there. I know that we went in a circle, but we were able to kick that bishop and support that e5 push, which was huge. Bishop f2, we have knight bd7. g4, b5. Kicking the knight right back. Knight b6, tucking it. I see a lot of similarities between the Czech Pirc and the Hippo in some lines, especially like this. All right, Tigers Modern, Czech Pirc, Hippo, King's Indian, Pirc, Modern. I'm naming a bunch of openings with g6, but you get the point. And here g6 isn't even played, but we still have that queenside presence of tucking this knight. And, in the game white played b3, I will say if white went with g5, right, you can't really go wrong with either of these. Some will prefer this move because you're getting this knight more into the action. You're attacking the queen side. That's what we're about right now. On the flip side, they did leave h5 open. And yes, the knight on the rim is dim, quote unquote, but a good player knows that, or as you become a stronger player, right, a good player knows that a knight on the rim is not always bad, right? It's not always bad. Now, I was at an elementary school today. I'm not telling kids to put their knight on h5 and h6, but a good player knows where to target. Really, if you have a knight on c6 and you see b5, a5 is usually a great spot, and same with this. Not to mention that f4 is a hole. So either of those work. Instead, we see b3, white here trying to neutralize our knight on b6. Johannes continues with a6. We have knight ce2, and the engine here has d5. And this is the moment where I'm going to say, you know, guys, don't worry about the engine move. Okay? Yes, technically, we're okay. Like, technically, we're in a good spot, but this is a kind of a crazy moment to find this. Now, yeah, if you take on d5, we capture back. That's solid. If white captures on e5 first, apparently we're supposed to move this knight back to d7, right? And of course, once you look at it closer, things make sense. Like if taking the knight captures back, let's say we see f4 looking to defend that pawn. Okay, we're down a pawn, but our knights are, I mean, brutal here. Taking with the bishop makes your light square of e3 extremely targetable. And if h3, we jump in, right? We throw in a check. We throw in another check with either of our knights, and we're crushing this. But d5 is a wild move to find at this point. Instead, we have bishop b7, very human move, very natural move. Knight g3, g6, kind of like what white did to us, we're doing to them. We're slowing that knight down. If g5, the knight comes back to d7. That's what we saw in the game. And with h4, we now see the move of d5. This feels a lot more solid to me. We're not gambiting a pawn or anything like that. And, you know, we got great defense on both of those guys. So white castles queenside. And here, this is interesting. This is interesting. The engine move c5. We actually saw this later on in the game. But this move is a nice idea. Like let's say white takes on d5. We take on d4. White has all these pawns on the light squares, and now they're castled. Oh yeah, we're good with that. We're good with that. If you take on c5, we capture. And it turns out white's not even, if they take on d5, we just take. We're fine. Yes, they have a lot of pressure on it. They have two attackers. We have one defender, but it's their queen leading the way, not their rook, right? There could be a queen here and a million rooks right behind it. This is not a good move because the queen leads the way. We take the queen, and then we're just up a queen for two minor pieces. Okay, so here c5 was the engine move, but instead we see castling queenside. Again, great chess here from black. And now with bishop h3, what should we do in a position like this? Guys, don't worry. Don't ask yourself, how do I win this game? Right? When you're playing chess. Now, sure, if you're trying to checkmate the king, that's a different story. But guys, sure, we're trying to win. We get that. Okay, I'm not saying don't go for the win. I like to win. I don't like to lose. But don't be worried about, okay, check. If they go here, I could go here. If they take, I could take. And then maybe I have this. How do I win? Guys, sometimes there's no way to win, right? You just need to improve your position. This is an improving move. Improving. Going, yeah, I don't like my knight pinned. I don't like my king on that open diagonal. I'm just going to step over. That's exactly what we see. We see here another improving move. White takes, we capture back. White played queen e3. Now we have c5. Taking some space there, why not? And if white takes on d5, that I get it. That makes it so our pawn can't push, but now the knight comes in. Let's say the queen goes to d2. You only have a couple of safe squares. Knight takes f3. What a brilliant position this is. If y'all can't tell, I like the Czech Pirc. If queen e4. Okay, you saved your pawn, but a2, e4, f3. Yeah, we're feeling comfortable. Right? So that's one option. f4. Let me rewind. Going back to c5. If f4 here instead, right, instead of taking this, then we can push. So white has to give us something. They're going to have to give us an active knight. They're going to have to give us the move of d4. We have knight c6, and we can keep on pushing here. Keep on pushing. Eye up those dark squares. But okay, in the game, we have this move of bishop to g2. And d4 is played, and then we have d3. I mean, Johannes here sees an opportunity and takes it. If white takes, we throw in a check. I mean, we're attacking the king, the bishop. If we take the bishop, there's another fork there. It's actually the best thing for white to just take the freaking knight off the board, but we still have c4 and we're winning. Instead, we have knight c3 in the game, and here the knight into c4. Wow, either knight can go in. Look, the point here, guys, where's the queen going to go? There's nowhere safe. Everything's taken up except e1. And if you go to e1, d2 with check, forking the queen and the king, you don't want to lose your queen. Okay, we can now take with the rook and then go into that kind of line. And at this point in the game, personally, I would go, you know what? If I take the rook, I'm up 4 points. So why would I gambit a knight? I'm just going to take my 4 points and then keep attacking. Okay, now in the game, we see white take first. And again, if white goes to e1, d2, okay, at this point, yeah, fly in with the rook. We're up the exchange. That's, I mean, we're still crushing this, right? But instead, we have knight takes b5. So white here in desperation is trying to get to c3. That's what happens. By the way, right, we don't want to take this queen because then we would lose ours. We take on b5. We have d2 with check. Bishop d6. Eyeing up e5, right? You got to ask yourself, how do you improve your positioning of your pieces? Right now, the bishop's actually not doing too much. It's not a great piece, but here it is. And by playing bishop d6, we're looking at e5. How can white stop that? They can't. I mean, they could prolong it for a move, but we're still going to get our bishop to e5. White plays knight f1 in the game. Johannes continues with bishop to e5, rook e6, beautiful rook lift, just continuing to improve his pieces. Notice here he's not sacking material, right? He's not trying to sack every move. He's not trying to find a mate in 3. He's just improving his pieces. We now have a take, a capture there. And guys, in general, when we're attacking, we don't want to trade down. But I'm okay with this because when we capture, okay, we're getting rid of that active bishop, which was, I mean, they're good bishop. This is their bad bishop at the moment. And once white captures back, we could play queen a5 right now. Instead, we have bishop f4, solid move, and then queen a5. And, you know, attacking chess, it's a mix of not trading down. You don't want to trade everything, especially the queens in most instances, and then also trading off key defenders. When we're looking at white's defensive presence, okay, they got 2 pawns, nothing in front of their king, a rook. I mean, look, are we playing checkers here? What's going on? Are we setting up a checkers board? Terrible position for white. Now in the game, c4 was played, and this game wraps up quickly. Okay, very fast. Queen b4 with check. If the king goes to the corner, game over. King c2 is played. We instead have rook to a6, and then here rook takes a2 and queen b2. That's a wrap. Let's go over the game one more time. Right, just going over the moves. We have a Czech Pirc here from Johannes, and queen b6 now. Right, so it was kind of cool. In our private chess lesson, we were talking about this move against bishop e3. We were prepping for his game, and that's exactly what happened. Knight g4, queen back, pestering the bishop. Development, bringing the knight back. More development, kicking that knight back, tucking our knight to b6. Such a key attacking idea and theme on the queen side. We have that fianchetto on b7, g6. The knight comes back to d7, guys. In that instance, right, h5 is not the way to go because there's a knight there. Now, if the knight's on e2, it's a different story because if the knight's here and then, okay, now we jump in, right? That can be a whole different conversation, but we don't want to just bring our knight to h5 and then get double isolated pawns. So instead, we see knight ft7, d5, castling queenside, king over. Such principled chess. Rook to the center, capturing back, c5 taking space, d4 taking space, d3 taking space. The knight jumps into c4. And we have another taking space move. The bishop improves. The rook lifts. The knight takes off that key defender. Notice just how dominant that dark squared bishop is now because of it. Queen a5. And the game wraps up quickly. Hope you enjoyed this one. And if you're interested in private lessons, I have a link in the description below. Peace. I wanted to finish this video out by giving a special thanks to Walter, Rob, Roger, Ray, and Jerry, and the rest of my Patreon community. Thank you guys for making this video possible. If you're interested in joining the Patreon family, hey, I'd love to see you over there. There's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you over there. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.